challenge, whether you're rich or you're poor. We've seen stories where people born rich ended up as people who were poor, and people born from poor families became multi-millionaires. So it doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor, your beginning is actually not what it is. It doesn't determine your end, rather your attitude towards life determines what you'll end up to become. Welcome to this edition of Live Your Dreams, an inspirational program on Star Television that inspires you to not give up in life. Whatever your circumstance, the challenges you come about, do not give up. And we don't just say don't give up and let you be. We bring to you stories of successful people who come to you. They tell us their life, what they've been through, how they overcome the challenges they faced, and how they became successful. That is so you learn from it. You could be inspired and motivated. Well, in today's edition, we're going to be talking to Dr. Kandeh Yumkella.
Kandeh Yumkella was born on the 5th of July 1959 to a typical Soso traditional household in Kandeh district, Northern Sierra Leone. According to existing facts, this agricultural economics and development expert has contributed immensely to the development of most countries across the world in the several capacities he served.
I want to say we in Sierra Leone, we gladly for the work we needed to do in this country and not help we in so many things. But we gladly that you need in leadership. Now we own brother, the provider, and the person of Dr. Yumkella. We're proud of what he did do, and he did make Sierra Leone flag fly at the United Nations. And we gladly and we tell him plenty thank you, and we wish him all the best in what he did do.
For this reason, he has accumulated several national and international accolades. Despite his admirable successes in life, Kandeh, just like any other person, went through hard times while growing up as a kid, a teenager, and subsequently into this man most Sierra Leoneans, at home and abroad, count among those fit to contest the next presidential elections of his country. Hence the question on many lips is how he got to this personality of a role model in Sierra Leone, a country said to be of limited opportunities.
Let's start by you telling us your story from the beginning, how life was for you as a young man.
Well, I was born in Kichum, in the Samu Chiefdom Kambia district, a very tiny village on the estuary of the Great Scarces River. And at about age 3-4, I was sent to Freetown to be raised by my stepmother. My father tended to do that, to send us to Freetown to go to good schools. And
why? Weren't there good schools where you came from?
Not really, not at that time, back in the 50s and 60s. So I came to Freetown, went to the FSSG from nursery to class 3, Freetown Secondary School for Girls. Then to the Services Primary School in Wilberforce, the military school. Did the common entrance, went to CKC in Bo, Christ the King College, and Jala University College, graduated at Division 1.
What did you study at Jala University?
I studied general agriculture, got a Division 1, top of my class, and went on to the United States to teach, but to do my postgraduate studies. Before leaving for the US, I worked at the Sierra Leone Marketing Board. I also taught at the St. Joseph's Secondary School.
Wow.
And I was doing tutorials, giving private lessons. So I did several jobs for 1 year.
Let's rewind a little bit to when you were a young man, when you were a boy then. What kind of a child were you?
From what I have heard, I was a very playful child. I always liked to play outdoors. I was always dirty, because I would be playing out there, never stopping, whether it's soccer or running around. And I also like to follow the elders when they were going to the bush to fetch firewood. Because of course you go with older guys who are teenagers, they're playing in the bush to get firewood. collect water in those days in our village from the well. So I've been told that I was always an active kid.
With your academics, what kind of a pupil were you?
I've always been a very good student. In my first term at CKC, I was first in my class.
Usually I say there are three categories of pupils and students. You have the lazy ones who don't have time much to focus on their education. You have the exceptionally brilliant ones who don't have to do much, but because they're smart and intelligent, it's just little study and attention in the past. And you have those who aren't smart, but they make effort. They go the extra mile to catch up with others. So which category do you fall?
I was smart, but I worked hard. I was very competitive. I studied like hell. I remember in Form 1, I bought a torchlight, what they call
Why?
torchlight, so that when they say lights out, and they put the lights out in the dormitory, I'll wake up around 5, cover my head with a blanket and put the torch on to study, to read.
Wow.
I have always been competitive. The good thing is at CKC, there were students who were smarter than I was. And I wanted to be like that. So we had people like Austin Denby, who is now a PhD in epidemiology, working for the Centers for Disease Control. You had the son of Cyril Forey, who were 2 years ahead of us. They had the most brilliant class we've had at CKC. We had a guy called Bon Momo. This guy spoke English or did math, and we're always getting 90s. So we were behind them. We wanted to be like that. You had people like Andrew Kiley. Andrew was in Form 6, who were in Form 1. We wanted to speak English like Andrew Kiley. Then in my class, I had guys smarter than me. You had Samuel Toko Makati. He was coming first from the first term in school till we finished O-levels.
So what was your position then?
I was, well, as I said, when I was in Form 1B, I was first. Then I moved to Form 2A, I was 7th.
Wow.
So I met people like McCarthy. Then in Form 3, we had the kids of the professors from Jala University College. The late Dr. Monde.
That must have been very challenging.
Joseph
Tough.
Monde came there from Jala Secondary School. He topped the class. He was second. Well, I was 5th. You had the son of Dr. Sama from Jala University. You had Donald Bashtaki, who is a medical doctor in town. These people came to our class, and suddenly from Freetown and from Jala, we were big guys in class. Suddenly, the non-push we began. The point is, I was very lucky to be with friends where we were all competitive, but one thing was common. We wanted to be the best in class, even at age 12. And that continued till we were in Form 6. And of course, doing the O-levels, we started bragging. I'm going to have a Division 1, you're going to have a Division 2. Guess what?
That's a
Over
good
10 of us had
healthy
Division 1s. And we helped each other. Yeah? People like Samuel McCarthy and Joseph Monde were teaching me math. I'll teach them biology and chemistry.
What was your major distraction back in school?
Oh, like anybody, we like to have fun, but we were nerds. You know, in the US, when we say nerds, these were people who were bookish. So we know they play better. We're playing soccer, and then suddenly the guy say, can you define so-and-so? Because maybe he's not playing soccer well. He just wants to show that when it comes to the book, I'm better than you. So there were a group of us who were too bookish. We go to church on Sunday, we're rushing back to go back and study.
Who were your role models when you were growing up?
My role models were my father, but also my uncle, Dr.
Why?
Hila.
Why did you have that?
My father was my role model because he was extremely successful. He was a chief, he was a businessman, he was a politician. He had the biggest private plantation in this country in the 60s. He had one of the first private quarries here. Yeah, he was a successful politician as well. So I wanted to be better than him.
Is that
but my
why
uncle,
you're being a politician now?
let's put it this way, it runs in my ancestry. My mother's father was a chief in the Bombali district. So you can see my whole ancestry has been an ancestry of leaders. But
I was tipped off that you coming into politics, you were pushed by your relatives.
Not necessarily. People have to see the antecedents. I'll talk about that in a minute. But another role model, it's important.
Your uncle.
Dr. Drissa Gila. He was a medical doctor. very polished, very English, and his wife, Sira Gila, who is from one of the Frasers, the Frasers of Wilkinson Road. They were completely English. So I leave my house, a traditional chief house. I stay with them. I wanted to be like them and their kids. Speak English perfectly. Be polished. At home I eat with my hands. With them I have to eat with a fork and knife, which was very uncomfortable. But I didn't want to be embarrassed in front of their kids. At home,
so you had to cope.
At home I eat rice in the evening for dinner. With them, no. It is plantains, and the kids only ate a little bit. They were all English. So I always talk about that part of my life. They polished me. Yeah? They made me want to be a real professional. They were doctors and engineers. So I would meet the Frasers, the Hyde Fosters, through them.
It sounds like the title of a movie.
Well, these were all professionals in Freetown. I'll meet doctors like Olu Williams, Songo Williams. These were doctors. They come to the house. So I come home from my father, the chief. I meet all his politician friends, Salia Jushu, Sharif, Bashtaki, the late Sori Fona, and others. And then I come to these guys. No, it was all doctors, engineers, lawyers, lawyer A.B. Ila and others. You know, Joko Smart. So you got between these two worlds to say, okay, there's the traditional life, and I go to the village to my mother, stark illiterate, but then I transform and
I'll
come
say you
here.
had opportunities of meeting a lot of people who could have served as role models in various ways. Who
Yes,
have
indeed. That's
influenced your
what I
life.
wanted to emphasize, that it is true. It takes a village to raise a child. We had that opportunity when we were young, that there were adults who were respectable adults, principled, well-educated, professionals, and you look at them to say, fine, I'm going to be like this.
So do you think this generation is enjoying such opportunities?
No,
you had?
no, not at all.
What do you think are the
generation,
problems?
this generation is not talking values. This generation have been abused mentally.
So
They're
what did you
talking
think
about
went
money.
wrong?
They're talking about money. Our leadership in this country over 2-3 decades made our kids change their mind from professionalism, hard work, ethics, to rich quick. And then people were setting the wrong examples for them. That it is not good education and professionalism that makes you successful. It is being crooked and being smart, street smart, quickly. And now today I see people overemphasizing grassroots. I am a development expert. We work with grassroots, but we work with grassroots to lift them up so they become trees and blossom like flowers, that their own children are better than them. Today, I see crooked elites and politicians emphasizing grassroots, keeping people in the grass. In our days, no. The priests in the school at CKC, the teachers in our school, Cassandra Gaba and others, you know, teachers in this country would want to lift us. J.B. Taylor was teaching us government, teaching us about democracy, government by the people, and we will memorize.
You have a very good memory. I'm sure those people you grew up with or you came across in life, they made quite a very good impression in your mind. So you don't forget them even by
Not
names.
at all.
Because you keep mentioning their names and full names.
Because they made me what I am, not my parents alone. I spent most of the time in boarding school. I spent time with my teachers. We had teachers who will create competition. They will say, hey, Joseph Monday, Kandeh says he's going to get 95 in chemistry, you're going to get 85. And JD would say, is that what you said? I say, yes, that's what I said. I'll show you. Guess what? We both go and study together.
So that's healthy enough. Which
Healthy.
these days you
want-
see young people playing
Yes.
PlayStation together or chatting on WhatsApp, misusing social media and not getting it right.
Yeah, even sports. We had sports, Mr. Berra, who I used to teach us sports. Yeah? But he was also our literature teacher. So he'll drill us in the field. I used to do 400 meters and 800 meters.
Wow.
Once in a while I did the mile. We were competing there too. Then he'll come to literature class. And this guy, the same drill master at CKC on the sports complex, will come back and be drill master for literature. Why? Each student had to read a line. There was a day in the week where you have to read a line from the book. And he'll go line by line.
Now let's come to your adulthood. As an adult, what was life like? Where did you spend the rest of your life?
My adulthood was really
Your
shaped.
working experiences.
It was shaped by Jala a lot. At Jala University College, I found myself in the first demonstration against the administration within 2 months of getting into the university at age 18.
Wow.
I was already there organizing, helping to organize a demonstration to protest for quality education and stuff at 18. At Jala, I started politics, real politics. Of course, we were the group that helped we were in the demonstrations in 1977 against one-party dictatorship. You understand? Against, at that time, in fact, it was not even one party. It was bad governance. After Hindulu Try and others started it, Jimmy Kandeh, you know, the late Sambangura, who just died recently.
Doctor,
we copied in both towns.
Doctor,
Now,
you're really a politician.
so you see then at Jala, I started real politics for 4 years, demonstrating for social causes, scholarships, clean water, electricity, better education, continuously. Jala started shaping me up to say, look, young man, you can play the fool, but there's a bigger cause. You gotta push for societal change. So I started maturing at Njala, yeah? Of course, never sacrificing academics, yeah? My first year at Njala, straight A student. My first year at Njala, I was already organizing tutorials,
So upon
teaching
graduation,
other students.
what was the first job you got?
Upon graduation, I had a mix of jobs. I started at Sierra Leone Produce Marketing Board. While doing that, I was giving tutorials to rich kids to teach them chemistry, biology, preparing them for O-levels. After a while, I quit that and started working full-time at St. Joseph's Convent, teaching, preparing their class for the O-levels, yeah? And meanwhile, I was applying all over the place for scholarships to go out, but guess what? I was having fun too. That year, 1983, 82, 83, is one of the best times in my life. I had graduated Division 1 of my class. I was very clear I wanted to go overseas. I was applying. Then here I was working in Freetown. I had a car, you know, would borrow my father's car once in a while, yeah. But I was making a lot of money because all week I was doing tutorials, and then Saturday and Sunday I partied like hell.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
You don't look like the party.
Oh, Femi Ebron had a wonderful nightclub on Side Street. Then we had Tropicana. So working hard, you know, I start from morning.
So you were mixing it. You would work
Mixing.
and
I've
you would have
always
fun.
balanced my life.
Which is good because they say all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
I
And
work-
all play and no
I
makes
work
Jack a dull
very hard, and when I choose to take a holiday, I am completely lazy and I have fun, big time.
So at what point did you leave the country?
At 83, after I graduated,
And where
worked
first
for a
did
year.
you go?
I went to Cornell, one of the Ivy League universities in the US. I got a scholarship. In fact, when I finished, I got 3 scholarships because I was top of my class.
And where did you go to study?
I chose to go to New York, Ithaca, New York, Cornell University, one of the Ivy Leagues. Big privilege for me. I didn't know it was a prestigious university till I arrived, and did my master's there.
And sorry, all throughout that time, you had you met your wife then?
Yes, I had known her already.
Ah,
I had known her in college. Yeah, we started dating.
So
yeah.
she's your college sweetheart.
She's my school and college sweetheart.
Ah,
yeah, so
that's a high school sweetheart.
yeah,
Oh
too,
well,
yeah, so-
I see.
And you never know where things end up in life.
Ah,
Yeah,
I
if
know,
you're
right?
lucky, sometimes you end up where you started.
Okay,
Yeah.
Doc.
But there are changes in life too.
I would like to know about your working with the UN, your coming into politics, and much more other advices we'll get from you for the young people. But at this point, you're watching Leave Your Dreams on Star Television Network, the program that tells you that life is worth it all. And you can be successful only by your attitude towards success. Success is not something that comes to you, it's something you go for. You reach out for it, you grab it. And it's not an easy thing, it's not like you seeing a fruit on a low, short tree you could just reach out to and pluck. No, it's something you have to work hard for. Well, before we took the break, I still had Dr. Kandeh Yumkella, and he's still here with me. Doc, let's go now to your life working at the UN. How did you get the job? How was it?
You know, people have told me, and this I don't even remember, but my in-laws have told me that, look, there was a time you told us very early in the US that you would want to work for the UN one day, but honestly, I don't remember that. What I remember is that towards the end of my PhD studies, I wanted to work for the UN and the World Bank, and I did consciously pursue that. Yeah? But then I did other things, you know. In life, I have always seen in my career that you work hard, prepare hard, and the grace of God takes in at the end.
Yes.
I was desperate then in the late 80s when I was graduating from my PhD, sending out applications, making contacts and so on, World Bank, UN, other places. It was not time for me. I got 2 other jobs. Yeah, I was assistant to the Dean for Minority Affairs, first in that role in that university, University of Illinois. Then I was picked up at Michigan State University. They called me up. It's a long story how that happened. Purely again, serendipity, the grace of God. Somebody saw me in a conference, asked me what I was doing. I said, I'm finishing my PhD. He said, do you have a CV here? Gave him my CV. He took it off to Michigan State. They called me for an interview.
From the United Nations?
No, this was still at Michigan State.
Okay.
So Michigan State, I taught there. Then came home to serve at NPRC. Went back. Now, during my days as NPRC minister, I was in many conferences. But what I was told by people was that, look, you are very smart. How come you know so much about public policy? But yet we see you've been a minister for less than a year or a year. I say, because I used to teach public policy. So it's like now from theory to practice. And at that time, the World Bank and the UN already approached me. Can you work for us? But I didn't accept, which is strange. Instead,
it's something you've been pushing for, something you've been wanting, and then it comes to you and you say no.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind?
Because at that time, I was still an academic in my head. I was here working as a minister, questioning a lot of things. How public policy was made. We're making laws for this country. We're doing trade policy, economic policy without data.
But at the end, you worked at the UN.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Okay. The UN happened really against serendipity. So finally, I went to a conference in Vienna, and the Director General of the UNIDO said to me, Dr. Yumkella, if I remember quite correctly, a year ago when I met you, you had told me in a conference that you're enjoying what you're doing, but you still want to go back to academia. Is it true? I said, yes, I still want to go back to academia. He said, but I want you to join the UN. I said, really? Well, I'll think about it. Anyway, when I resigned from here, I went back to the classroom, back to Michigan State, and this guy was persistent. He called me up. The World Bank also sent me applications. In the end, adventurism. I said, fine, let me go back to the development world. I've seen the public policy in real time. I've taught public policy. Now this is development policy. So let me go and see what it's like. So, like an adventurous person, I was in my 30s. I joined the UN. I was called up. I was headhunted. So I was made very young.
So
Special
what was your
advisor to the
responsibility
Director
there?
General.
What did much of your work entail?
My first post was special advisor to the Director General of UNIDO in my 30s. I was very, very young. But I came in there as a special advisor on Africa. Yeah? So suddenly I was in very senior management, but he'll take me places. He'll ask my opinion. One of my first trips with him was to Cameroon for the African Union Summit. And he says, okay, Kandeh, this is what I have to do tomorrow. Can you prepare speaking notes for me? And we'll debate. He said, I want to say this. I said, in an African audience? Doesn't make sense to me. He said, why? Because he respected me. He had headhunted me to come, meaning he wanted my brain. So I'll prepare speaking notes. Some of the senior guys would have prepared something. He said, do you think I should say this? I said, wow, this is great. I said, this one, it looks old-fashioned. And so I was with him for a year. He gave me a special program to design. And suddenly here I was, and I was told at that time, I organized a retreat for the senior managers. And one of the Africans told me, he said, Dr. Yumkella, I've been in this organization 7 years. I have never seen an African resource person doing a workshop. It's always Caucasians.
Dr. Yumkella, you are a very successful man. Yes. And a few people might think it's probably because you came from a very good background. Your family, financially had the upper hand. Your family was influential and connected. But what would you say is the major reason for your successes in life?
The major reasons for my success was good upbringing at home. My father was a no-nonsense man. You had to have good grades, otherwise he'll spank you. Yeah, my father did not spoil me. He made sure after a certain age that I washed my own clothes. He made sure that after a certain age, I was never dropped in school again. I had to walk from Juba Hill down to Juba Barracks to join the trucks with the military kids to be taken up to Services Primary School at Wilberforce. Yeah, so first point, discipline. Second, my stepmother. My stepmother was tough. You sweep in the morning before you go to school. After school, you fill the bottles, and you better make sure you study at 3 o'clock. She was a businesswoman. So I owe a lot to my stepmother as well. And again, my aunts. There is, I mentioned Mrs. Sira Gila, who was a phraser. She was clearly English, yeah? That English language you have to speak properly. So, Mrs. Njai, Pose Njai had just arrived with her husband from the United States. She was this liberated woman working for the social welfare. She started some of the first women's programs in this country. And I would sit with Auntie Pose, listening her arguing with my father, who nobody dared argue with.
Wow.
And I was like, wait a minute, in her typical American English, talking about issues, and I say, wow. Now Auntie, they talk to Papa so. Not disrespectful, but holding her ground.
Yeah.
Arguing about traditions, why women should be like this. I said, Mama no get mind for tell Papa that one myself. So, discipline, role models, upbringing, hard work. They never compromise hard work. The people who raised me, yeah, and performance. They rewarded me. When I passed the common entrance, my father gave me my first watch. Yeah, and he said to me, look, if you really, they tell me you're gonna get a Division 1 in the university. If you really get it, I don't have money now, but I'll go find one old car for you. In other words, it was discipline with incentives. It's the same with governance.
And is
it's
that the same way you do it with your children?
Same style. Same style. And for me, it is the same with governance. You have to have regulations, you have to have rule of law, and you have to have the law enforcement. But then you incentivize people. It is incentives that motivate young people and so on. And then you set standards. Today we reward the wrong people. It is those who are the worst criminals in society, who have been able to excel by stepping on other people and grabbing our resources for themselves, that are rewarded, and society praises them. So you change the role models for kids. It's not the hard-working guy, the serious guy in the ministry who is coming there every day, being paid 600,000, but he's there. It is the guy who suddenly grabs everything.
Man.
Yeah.
What are some of the key lessons you've learned in life that stand by you as a guide or a principle in life?
Well, let me also say spirituality. Yeah. Thanks to my upbringing, I strongly believe in religion. I have also realized that all your hard work is good, all what your parents gave you is good, but to God the grace of God. Yeah, because I have had opportunities I would never have dreamed of. When I left this country at 23, nobody gave a damn who Yumkella is. It is what you can do. It is performance, which means your discipline to help you perform. After that, it's the grace of God. Why? Wait man see you is sorry for you. He said, wow, young man, you're damn good. I think I should move you up. You should be doing this. In other cases, people open doors for me. Yeah? This guy asked me for my CV in a conference. He took it to Michigan State. He didn't know me from Adam, but the grace of God.
Some young people will be looking at you and say, you had it easy, you were successful because you were you had the opportunity to travel. There are just some young people, if you talk to them, they'll tell you, the only way for me to be successful is for me to travel out of Sierra Leone. What would you say to those category of young people?
I would say to that category of young people, it is a pity you've lost hope. Yeah? And we are guilty for making you lose hope, because it is our responsibility, this generation, that should open up the economic space for you, that should create the enabling environment so you can fulfill your potential. Before going out, we had an educational system in this country that made sure we could fulfill our academic potential. In addition, when I finished, there was a job. Today, there is no job. So we have let you down. We have let those people down.
And that's why I'm back. I'm back to say, hey, give me an opportunity to use all my knowledge and create that opportunity so young men can be successful private sector people. They can be successful lawyers, doctors, engineers, and in fact, they can be wealthy in the honest way. And you know what? I say this to people, so that even if they go out, they say, I'm rushing back, like the Ghanaians are doing today and the Nigerians, or the Kenyans. I'm rushing back to go home. I don't want your job, because back home, I can be a millionaire, because there is economic opportunity, things are booming. Let me give you an anecdote.
Go on.
President Mbeki invited me for tea once. The discussion was what? Dr. Yumkella, we want you to help inspire South Africans, young kids, to become diplomats. I said, Mr. President, how can I do this?
That's such an honor.
He said, listen, the economy is booming now in South Africa. None of them want to go out to work for the UN and the World Bank and so on. But we want to encourage them to go. I said, and it's a great job. He said, that's what we want to do. You know, the lady who is the president of the African Union used to be the foreign minister at that time. She said, my president needs to see you. What am I saying? South Africa was booming so much, nobody wants an international job. They want to be there.
They were satisfied.
They were satisfied because why? Economy booming, enabling environment there, the education is good. So we need to do
Doctor,
the same in
you have
Sierra Leone.
all these experiences. You've
Yes.
met people, you've been to places. Now you're aspiring for the presidency of this country. Now, for people who might be giving a second thought, although you have another bridge to cross, that's from the party level to get the status of being the flag bearer. Now, when it comes to the general public, the entire citizenry, for those who will be thinking, why would I look at this man and consider supporting him for presidency? If we ever have that thought, what policies do you have that you will implement that will change the lives of young people for the betterment of this country?
Well, first point to the first part of your question is Sierra Leoneans need to look at all of us very closely, including myself. Yeah? What has this individual done for himself to be successful in the right way? Second, what have they done for their communities, for their country as well, or their school, or their church or mosque? Because you need that to know whether this person is committed to public service, whether this person can give of himself or herself for somebody else. But first you need the track record of what they've done for themselves and also professionally. And thirdly, which comes to the next part of your question, what will they deliver for this nation? Look, if you check all of that for me, I have a track record of delivery. I have a track record of knowing public policy. I have advised countries. I have advised businesses. I have actually done it. Public policy work in development. I have also done development, yeah, in various countries, various poor communities. So I come to this assignment with a vast reservoir of knowledge, experience, practical, not theoretical. Yeah, I come with the goodwill and knowledge of what is there that can come here to transform this nation. What would I do? I tell you, I'll attack education. You cannot get a break in the new economy, what we call the new knowledge economy, without solid education, without skills. Education is the key to everything. I give you one: teenage pregnancy, all of that. If you educate the girl child, you have a committed policy to advance women, your society excels. So within education, targeting also girl child, even more than we're doing today. It's not just the slogans and the talk. Yeah. Second, governance. Nothing works without good governance. Political governance, corporate governance, and sector governance. The health sector in this country. How come Ebola devastated us? We were told that we had invested so much money. One shock, boom, everything collapsed. The quality of investment was not good. The governance of the sector was not good. You can take that to agriculture. You can take it to education. So we talk about sector governance and sector policy. You take it to the power sector. You cannot have private investment to give universal access to energy in this country to people without clear sector policy. You invest in energy for 30, 50 years. People want to see sector governance. That yes, there's a clear public policy on energy, that they will be able to recover their investments if there is a clear good tariff. Number 3, if your utility for energy or water will collect the bills and pay back. So when I talk about governance, it is not just political governance. It is also sector governance, but corporate governance, that the businessmen also are following a set of
Usually they
ethics.
say the first step to solving any problem is identifying the
Yeah.
problem itself.
Yeah.
For you, it seems as if you've identified much of the problem. One thing that really makes me excited is that when it comes to our presidency, we have lots of qualified and overqualified people. So it's a good thing for the country. And I know it's a tough one for all of you running for the presidency. Now, what has been the achievement you're most proud of?
Wow, that's a tough question. I have done so many things over the past 30 years. Let me see, I'm very proud that I was elected Director General of UNIDO, and that in fact, based on my performance my first time, I was unanimously elected unopposed my second time. Very proud of that. I'm very proud that after that service, I got a phone call from the Secretary General to say, Kandeh, I know you want to go back home. I need you. You've been creating an energy program. I want you to come take it over full time. Yeah? I'm very proud of my energy work. So proud of it because people don't even remember me globally for UNIDO. They remember me as Mr. Energy. CNN interview was on my energy work. The Chinese did a special documentary on me, a man of energy, because of my energy work. Why? I picked up something that the UN could not deal with for over 2 decades. I created a coalition of countries, of businesses, provided leadership, and to crown it all, the founder of CNN, Ted Turner, and Kofi Annan gave me an award they had given to Bill Clinton, and they had given to the Prime Minister of Norway for my global leadership on energy. They call it the Global Leadership Award. I was with Desmond Tutu and others. Meaning people out there said, wow, this kid, that's what Ted Turner used to say. So this is the kid who wants to light up the world. Don't believe naysayers. Do what you have to do and we'll back you. Those are 2 accomplishments, but the third one, that in all of that, I was able to do so much in Sierra Leone. I promoted Sierra Leone. I promoted projects that are here today. And Anis Kurma used to say when we meet, it's on record, that I wish we had more Sierra Leonean ambassadors like him. Because the ministers know from Tijan Kaba government to Anis Kurma that if you meet Dr. Yumkella in a public forum, he is the one who will bring you up and say, this is my minister, Mr. President of the World Bank, and they need help in Sierra Leone. So I promoted my country and brought support here. The Fisheries Training School, I found the money to rebuild it. His Excellency President Kurma inaugurated it last year. The Standards Laboratory, the first in this country, comprehensive, Ferry Junction, I found the money from the Norwegians and others to build it. You heard of the growth centers that I worked with Kadisise and others to bring to this country. Banka Soka. Now I am still lobbying, and if Mr. President is watching this, he had agreed with me, and we've been lobbying 5 years, that they will build Singimi hydropower so that Jala University can have electricity, Moyamba and Bo, 11 megawatts. They've put it in the parliament 3 times. Now suddenly it's not there. 11 megawatts, the country is in darkness, 10% electrification rate. This is one of the best projects in this country. I want to appeal again. So in short, I had a very good success at the UN with a lot of awards and recognitions from all over the world. By the way, my university, University of Illinois, called me up because I won the Distinguished International Alumni Award. Yeah? And why did they give it to me? They checked what I had done over the years and what I did here doing NPRC. They interviewed people. Because you know what they told me? Selflessness. I left a job to come here to work in my country doing war. And then I went back global. They gave me a Distinguished Alumni Award. And this is a school that normally has, every year, 36,000 students.
Doctor, there's a lot we could learn from you if we just sit here and talk all day. This week would not be enough. In fact, I'm not sure the whole month would be enough. But now we're wrapping up. Talking to young people out there must be several of them watching right now. What would be your message of inspiration and motivation to them?
I would say to young people of Sierra Leone, never give up. Don't believe that anything is impossible, because you're young enough to be creative to change it. 3, engage. Engage in public policy. Make your vote count. I, at age 16 already, was involved in demonstrations here to change the system. You must engage now, especially for 2018, because if you choose the wrong leaders, your future will be in jeopardy. Our generation has failed you in many ways. I want to say, ask us very hard questions, but trust me. I came home voluntarily to leave a comfortable job to come and serve you. I didn't have to do this, but it is because I believe that you, my children, my grandchildren, need to be in a Sierra Leone they're proud of, a Sierra Leone that has jobs for you, that has prosperity, and where you hold us accountable. People should not steal your money and come every day and give you little change, 5,000. No. You should say to them, I want to be the man giving you 5,000 next time for your campaign. And you should hold people accountable, because when they are corrupt, they are mortgaging your future. They're denying you your own prosperity for their own personal gain and just for themselves. So I want to thank you for having me on this program. You're the first person I have given this personal kind of interview in my own personal setting, but I'm happy I did it, and I hope it inspires some people that, you know, being from Kitchen, a small village, this man went to higher heights globally, came back to say, well, he wants to go to the highest level. Any kid in this country must dream for that. That's why I'm here. Win or lose, I want kids of this country to say, yes, I can be better than Yumkella.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kandeh Yumkella, for talking to us on this program and sharing your story with us. It's inspiring to some of us, although we've not had enough time to hear all of your story, but this we've heard is inspiring and motivating enough, and thank you.
Thank you for giving
We
me
wish
the
you luck
opportunity.
with your political campaign.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The most successful people in life have a story. We all do have a story. No one got it easy. It doesn't ever come easily. So you have to be determined. First, identify your goal. Know what you want to achieve in life, and walk in the right path to achieve your goal. Once you know what you want to achieve, it becomes easier for you. I keep telling my friends, if I leave here now and I say, I want to go down to Pademba Road, because I know where I want to go, it becomes easier for me to say, okay, I'll go through IMAT, go through Hill Station and get down, than someone who will just sit and say, I want to go out of this place, but I don't know where I want to go. So you go out, you start, while you're out, that's when you begin to think of where you want to go. So the sense is, identify your goals, set out what you want to achieve in life, and work towards it. It's not going to be easy for you to achieve it, but it is possible with the right attitude. It's been a wonderful time here talking to Dr. Kandeh Yumkella on Leave Your Dreams on Star Television. I've been your presenter, I am Phebean Swill. Till we have another edition talking to another successful person, leave your dreams and do not give up.